you doing today? Welcome to Advocate Television. Tell me, what's your name and a little bit about your story?
My name is Joseph Guillen. I'm from Austin, Texas.
Yes, sir.
After I went to prison, my wife divorced me. I went to Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Oregon, and then here.
So you've been all around.
I've been to Louisiana, I've been to Mississippi.
So what are we doing here today? Tell me what's going on.
I'm an alcoholic. About 3 weeks ago, somebody called the ambulance on me because I was throwing up blood. And then when I refused to go with the ambulance called the police. I don't even know his name. It was a big Chicano. And he just like manhandled me. He took my arm, he wrapped it around my back, and then he put his knee on my rib. You know.
So he abused you.
You know, all I did was just refuse to go to the hospital, man. What's wrong with that?
Right. Yeah, you can refuse medical attention if you want.
You know, but I was throwing up blood. I mean. So that's what I don't know his name. Excuse me, can you help the homeless? Can you help the homeless, sir? Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
So what would
You're nice people.
So can you tell me, what would you like to see happen? Would you like that officer to get in trouble for what he did to you?
I don't even know who his name is, man, you know.
But if you did know his name.
I went to the hospital, you know, and they knew what happened because the ambulance reports everything. You know, I went into the hospital and they gave me pain medication out the ass. You know, I was knocked out for 3 days. You know, because they knew what happened. They know. You know, when I was a kid, man, wasn't that a kid, but you know, in my, you know, late teens, you know, early 20s, you know, I had a mouth, you know. I would cuss police out, you know, because, you know, he had no right to do this to me.
Right.
You know, back then, I used to get my ass kicked by police all the time.
Is this the first time you were assaulted by police officers?
No, it's not the first time.
So it's happened a lot of times.
Well, when I was younger, I had a big mouth. You know, I was innocent this time. You know, I didn't provoke him. All I did was just refuse to go to the hospital. You know, I didn't cuss him out. I didn't call him names. I didn't do none of that stuff. He had no right to do what he did.
What time of the day was this? Was it night or day?
It was during the day.
And how long ago was this?
I think about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
You know, he had no right to do what he did.
If there's something you can tell that cop, if that cop was right here and you can tell him how you felt, what would you say?
I think I would say something like, you know, he was exerting his power on me. Overexerting his power on me because he had no right to do what he did. You know?
So you just wanted to be respected?
In my 20s, I would have cussed him out. I'd cuss him out today. You know? You know, I've learned, you know, and, you know, I'm more respectful nowadays. All I do is just drink. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm an alcoholic. All I do is just drink. You know, I don't do heroin. I don't do crystal. I don't smoke. I don't even smoke. Every now and then I smoke mota. You know?
Right. Yeah, and weed's legal. Weed's legal.
But
Can you tell me a little?
I have anxiety,
Right.
And
that helps.
I have a sleeping disorder. I'll go buy $20 worth of weed. I might smoke one joint out of it. And one joint within a 3 or 4 day period. Just so that I can get back to a sleeping pattern. That's what I do. I don't steal, I don't rob, I don't assault people. I don't do none of that stuff, man.
So you're a good person in general, you just have hard times. You've been dealt bad cards.
I don't know, man. I've been in prison 3 times, all for the same thing, for drinking and doing heroin. I don't consider myself. You know what, man? I ain't had a fight since I was like 12 or 13.
Can you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
What do you want to know?
Did you live with your mom or your dad?
Both my parents, they were both married.
Can you tell me how your adolescence was? Were you in sports? Did you get good grades? Were you drop out?
I dropped out of high school when I was 15. My father said I got caught with marijuana in school, and my father says, "What are you doing in school? You're not doing anything." My grades were failing. My dad had rental property. So we always worked. We always worked. He taught me how to work. We always worked. He had rental property.
Is your mom and dad still alive?
No, they're both dead.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay, man.
So is that?
Do you know that when you lose your virginity, that's your experience, right? Everybody experiences something. Everybody experiences death. When it's my time to go, that's my experience.
Yeah.
I don't mourn them. That's it. That's their own journey.
You're right.
That's their own journey.
You're right.
That's how I've always looked at it. I didn't go to my father's funeral. I was out of prison. Where was I? My father's death happened when I was in San Angelo, Texas. My mother...
San Antonio, Texas?
San Angelo. When my mother passed away, I was in Montana. But because of the COVID virus, they didn't have a service until I got here. I didn't find out about it. Mm-hmm. I didn't go. When you die, that's your experience, man. You know what I mean? When I die, that's my experience.
Only yours.
Huh?
Only yours.
Only mine, man. I don't mourn people, man. I might mourn a little bit of my brothers and sisters because I was close with them, because I'm the youngest of 7. So, they raised me. I thought my oldest sister was my mother.
Wow.
To tell you the truth, because,
She loved you a lot?
She took care of me. My mother worked. My sister went to school. My sister would take me to, when she'd go study at school, she would take me with her. My sister spent more time with me than my mother did. Of course, it didn't help that my mother kind of sexually abused me.
Your mother sexually abused you?
Yeah, kind of.
Did you tell anybody?
Nah, man, you're the first person, man.
So how's that affected you? Did it affect you?
I'm an alcoholic. Am I screwed up in the head? I didn't lose my virginity till I was 24 years old. That's how screwed up I was.
Do you know why your mother would ever even think about doing something like that?
My dad didn't love her. You know, my brother told me over the phone like about a month ago or 2 months ago that the only reason that my father married her was because he felt sorry for her because she was an orphan.
Oh, your mom was an orphan.
Yeah. You know,
You've got a powerful story, man.
you know that's the only reason my dad even married her because dijo que tenía pena.
Quintanilla?
Él tenía pena. He had pity on her, so he married her. That's the only reason. They didn't love each other.
And back then, people had a lot of kids. My mom's mom had 10 kids. My dad's mom, I believe, had 10 kids.
Yeah, man. I need a bottle of vodka, man.
Talk to me, man. Talk to me.
I went to prison in '93. Then I went to prison in '97. Then I went to prison in 2000. Then I went to prison in 2011. You know, but I have never had a fight. I have never been violent. I'm not gang related. I just have a vicio. You know, I used to shoot heroin.
And you still do that?
I dabbed with it here and there, you know, here in California. But when I left Texas and I went to Wyoming, well, okay, first I went to Colorado, and I kicked in Colorado. And then I didn't do it in Wyoming. I did a little Suboxone, Subutex. And then when I went to Montana, I didn't do nothing. And then when I got here, I started dabbling with it, you know. But the heroin here ain't like the heroin in Texas. The heroin in Texas is much better.
They got the Scama and La M in Texas.
Yeah.
They got the good stuff, man. We know that. You know what I mean? My family's in Texas, so I know all about the politics.
I went to Austin. I left Houston. I went to Austin, and we used to go pick up, you know, Chiva, you know, heroin in San Antonio because, you know, that's where it, you know,
That's where it flowed.
That's where the M is, you know. I'm not gang related. I got some tattoos, and you know.
And for those that don't know, La M is the Mexican mafia.
Yeah. See, in Texas, I don't know who. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the politics. I don't know if they're connected with the people here.
Well, to my knowledge, La M is a huge, very powerful organization, and that I know of, that I'm aware of, I believe it's based out of. I think it's based out of Texas. You know, and they also have the Texas syndicates.
Well, yeah, those are. And do you know the Texas Syndicate originated here?
I did not know that because I heard a story that the Texas syndicates were formed to protect Texas against California gangs.
Yeah, because they were here. They were in prison here. So the Texas Syndicate was formed here, but they moved to Texas.
Wow.
You know? Yeah, the Texas Syndicate.
So it originated here because the problem started here.
Yeah,
because of
you know,
Texas.
because people like me, we get locked up here,
And end up over there.
and you know we have to protect ourselves.
Or you're from over there and end up locked up here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in Texas we have. I mean, every city has their gangs. You know, there's those people that wear the yellow.
Latin Kings?
Yeah.
The Latin Kings.
Yeah. But every city has their little gangs. But we have Texas Syndicate, La M, and then we have Aztecas from El Paso.
Mm-hmm.
The Aztecas are vicious. And then we have like I said, I got tattoos, man. You know, I got Mexican here. I have a chara here. I got my vida on my back.
Can I ask you a question?
And technically, those can be, you know, associated with certain people.
Right. Can I ask you a question? When you were going through this, when you were going to prison, multiple times, did you have any support from family or community?
I had a wife, man. I had a wife. I had a house. We were buying a house. I had 2 girls. When I got out in 98, I went in 97 and got out in 98. I started my own company. Yeah, I had support.
So you lost everything?
Every other weekend we'd go to my sister's, on a Sunday, and I'd help my sister out, in the yard and just do stuff with her. She's my sister, and we'd stay there and we'd have lunch or dinner, whatever. Yeah, I had support, man. I had a lot of support, man. My father supported me. When my father died, they told me, they said, "You want any money?" And I said, "No." My father he sold the property to my sister for over $1 million.
Wow.
And my sister turned around and sold it for 3 times that much to a gas company because it was on a major road, okay? My dad had money. When they died, they asked me, and my father had a 3rd grade education. They asked me if I wanted any of it because my sister, when I was a kid, I helped her build her house. And they asked me, "Do you want any of this money?" And I told them no. I don't know where I was.
Right.
But I said my dad gave me money, throughout my whole life. He'd pay for lawyers.
So your dad loved you a lot.
My dad would, send me money when I went to prison.
His dad loved you a lot, didn't he?
I didn't need his money, man. I beg, but I don't, what would I do?
So if you didn't need his money, what did you need from him? Love?
My dad gave me a lot of love. My dad taught me how to work. I'm a carpenter. Mm-hmm. Last year I was making $30.
So he taught you to be a man.
Last year I made $30 an hour here for a temp agency. He taught me how to work. He taught me how to treat women. Mm-hmm. He gave me a lot. He would tell me consejos, parables. My dad would tell me parables.
Really? Like Jesus?
Yeah. He would tell me parables.
Can you tell me a few? You have a couple examples.
He'd say, and I know this isn't right because my father was tight. He was tight with his money. But he says, when I used to go to the bar, I'd order 2 beers. Mm-hmm. Okay? He knew I was an alcoholic when I was a kid. He said, I'd go to the bar and I'd order 2 beers. And I'd get that first one and I'd give it to the man next to me. And I'd start with the second one because that first one is always going to get you. You understand that?
Not quite.
You're not an alcoholic.
Yeah, I'm not an alcoholic.
If I sober up, for however long, and then I start with that first beer is going to lead to the next one, and the next one, and the next one.
Okay, I get it now.
And he would tell me, he goes, so I'd get that, he would say, I'd get that first beer, and I'd hand it to the guy next to me.
So the second one is considered his last beer, his first and last?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand now.
Yeah. That's what my dad would tell me.
That's a pretty good parable. It makes sense.
And he would tell me, this lady had a son, You know, they're both poor. They're, Mexico, whatever. Uh, they're both poor. But her son brought her a sewing needle one day. And then the next time he brought her thread. And she started to sew, fix people's clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the next time he brought her, some fabric.
Mm-hmm.
He ends up on death row.
Who ends up on death row?
The kid,
Okay.
And I said, why is he on death row? His mother went to go visit him. And it's like, I was stealing when I was a kid, You never questioned the needle, you never questioned the thread, you didn't question nothing. I just kept on doing it. Now I'm here, You understand?
I understand.
He would tell me stories. He would, we'd be working and I drink cold coffee. I drink cold coffee because we'd get up in the morning. I tell you, my dad had rental property. My sisters work too. They know how to roof. They know how to do all that stuff. The only one that doesn't is Anthony the priest, because he's weak. And Robert. Every other girl worked.
Mm-hmm.
I worked. When I remember, I can't tell you what year, but he woke me up one Christmas morning because one of the houses had a broken pipe because it would freeze. He woke me up one Christmas morning. We went outside. We worked. Christmas morning. There ain't no opening presents, man. We worked. I've worked my whole life. Just the way it is. But he was a good man. He never, when I was a kid and I'd do something wrong, he would spank me. When I got older, he would, sit me down and quiet time, because, I was too old to be spanked. But he was a good man.
So you discipline as a father should have.
He didn't smoke. Every now and then he'd have one or two beers, He'd say, anda, cómprame. I'd be 6, 7, 5 years old. Anda, cómprame unos dos cervezas. And I don't know if he called the store or what, man, but I'd be 5, 6, 7, 11 years old, man. I'd go to the store, buy him 2 beers. But back then you could do that. Back then you can, if you're 15, 16, 13 years old, you can buy cigarettes. Back then it was different. But he'd tell me, anda, cómprame uno. And I never saw that man drunk. He went to work every day. He was a good man.
Mm-hmm.
You have a good day, sir. Thank you very much.
So let me ask you this. Can you tell me what was going through your mind as you became a traveling man?
My wife divorced me. There was no reason for me to go home. She sold the house. She moved back to New York. She was from New York. There was no reason for me to go home. And I think, I have no idea because I haven't spoken to a psychiatrist, I think I kind of went through a depression. I ain't been home since then, man. I went once. Okay, so my father, He died in 2011. January 21st. I think it was a Saturday. January 21st, 2011. He had his 91st birthday. So everybody got together. In June, I think, June or August, he died. That was his last birthday. I went to Austin January 21st, 2011. That was the last time I was there. No, mentira. I was in San Angelo, and I was strung out on heroin. And I called my sister. I don't know what year. It was right before I got locked up, so it had to be in 2012. 2011, I called my sister and I said, "Hey, can I come over?" She goes, "Yeah, what's going on?" I said, I'm strung out on heroin. I need a kick." So I went there. I spent 3 days at her house. I went back home, back to Austin. That's the last time I've been there.
So how long have you been here in Fresno?
Year and a half, maybe 2 years. You know, I've been traveling. I left Texas. I traveled around. I probably was like in 5 cities in Texas. Then I went to Cortez, Colorado. Then I went back to Texas. Then from Texas, I went to Wyoming. And from Wyoming, I went to Montana. And from Montana, I came here.
Well, it sounds like you have a certain love for life, regardless of your situation.
Excuse me, sir. Can you help the homeless? You know, Montana and Wyoming are beautiful, man. Colorado, it's all mountain. I like it. It was nice. But
as you traveled, did you feel like you were searching for something?
I'm searching for sobriety, man.
You're searching for sobriety. You want to be the best you can be.
I want to be. I have nephews and nieces. My nephews and nieces have children. I don't know them. I want to be an uncle. You know what? That's. I don't have children. My wife had 2 girls. You know, I don't have children. I would like to be an uncle.
So you love kids?
I love our kids. I don't like all kids.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, my nephews and nieces, I mean, they had a rough start because, you know, their mother was, you know, their father was whatever. Not all of them, because I have a niece that went to the Naval Academy. You know what I mean? I mean, you know,
It did something with their life, yeah.
all my, except for my brother that's slow, and my sister, my youngest sister, you know, she married a Mexicano, you know, but everybody else went to college, you know. I have a brother somewhere. He just got a honorary doctoral. He's a doctor, you know, on paper, you know, but he's a doctor. He's an Episcopalian priest, you know. He lived in Mexico. He's gone to Peru. He's gone to Cuba, you know, ministering. He's in charge of some kind of Hispanic something or the other, you know.
What kind of help do you think you need in order to get through and push through that situation? The sobriety.
I have no idea, man.
I mean, probably need a place to stay, right?
Yeah.
Start with a place to stay.
I went to West Care,
Mm-hmm.
you know, And after I graduated West Care, they said, okay, you graduated, get the out. They kicked me out into the street.
And that's their protocol?
I have no idea.
And how long were you in there for?
90 days.
Wow, so that's not really long at all to be sober. It's not long enough.
You know, they kicked me out, man.
If they would have continued helping you for longer. You know, I've heard stories of people in the Salvation Army for a year or longer.
I know, man, but
And they work and get paid.
I'm not a Christian. I believe in God, but I'm not a Christian.
So you have to be a Christian to be at the Salvation Army?
Well, I mean, they go to church every day. You know, they have prayer meetings. You know, the Salvation Army and
I mean, so if you're not Christian, what are you, Catholic or atheist or?
No, man, I'm not atheist. I believe in God. In a sense, you know, if I have a sandwich and you're hungry, I'm gonna cut off half of it and share it with you. If we're out in the cold and this is what you're wearing, you know, I'm gonna dig out a shirt and I'm Christian in that sense.
I am too.
You know.
We have to be Christ-like. We have to imitate and act like Christ.
Well, okay, so
And we do great things by doing that.
you want to hear a good story? I was
Tell me.
born and raised Catholic. Born and raised Catholic. I got caught skipping Catholic school. Okay, so my father pulled me out. My brother took me to the Episcopalian church, and I went there for about 2-3 years. In the 90s, I practiced Buddhism. You know,
Witchcraft.
meditation, you know, type stuff.
Oh, okay. Meditation.
When I went to prison in 93, I became a Muslim. I was a practicing Muslim, well, semi-practicing Muslim for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
In 2013, I realized that Islam is kind of wrong. I don't blame them.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's just the last prison unit I was at. You know, they're very radical, very hateful. I didn't like that. You know. So in 2013, I was baptized in the Church of Christ. So I've gone all the way around. You know, I've made a full circle. I believe in God. You know, but I don't preach it.
So no matter where you went, still ended up back in the same spot with looking for Jesus. Now, I don't think anybody's better than Jesus. I think Jesus is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords.
You mind if I smoke, man?
Yeah, you got a cigarette? I smoke cigarettes. You got an extra
Do
one?
you?
You got an extra cigarette?
Yeah, man.
Thanks,
Get a
brother.
big one, man.
Thanks, brother. You know, I think God sends me a lot of people. I want you to know that. And I believe you're one of them.
You know, the Native Americans, men, believe that tobacco is sacred. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Mm.
My grandmother's 51% Native American.
Well, see, all my life, my mother kept on telling us that we were Apache. So my whole life, I thought I was Apache.
Right.
Okay? Well, my brothers and sisters, you know, they did the Ancestry.com kind of stuff, man. I'm not Apache, even though I look Apache.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not Apache. You know, we're straight from Mexico. You know, I mean, you know, Mexico is all native, you know, I mean, you know.
Yeah, it was California before it was Mexico.
Yeah.
Or should I say California was Mexico before it was California, excuse me.
Texas too, man.
Texas too, the Lone Star State, the biggest state in America.
Texas.
See, I'm Tejano. All my family's from Texas.
Yo soy Chicano. I consider myself Chicano because Carter, I think it was Carter. You know, during the census and stuff, man, there were too many Latinos, you know, in the United States.
Right.
You know, so he put, well, he didn't, but you know, the government, they started calling people Hispanic. You know.
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but a Mexican is basically when the Spaniards came, raped the Indians, and that's how they created Mexicans.
Right. Yeah.
So we're all lost tribes,
well,
and we stand right next to the blacks, which are slaves.
Chicano, Latino, you know, mestizo, okay? So, I don't know if you know this, okay? Mexico. During the Mexican Revolution, 1910, okay? There was Zapata in the north. No, Pancho Villa in the north and Zapata in the south, okay? There's one picture of them together. They only met one time because they had different politics, okay?
Who are these two men? They're leaders of what?
Of the Mexican Revolution,
Okay.
okay? Zapata and Villa, okay? Villa was the north. He was a mixed breed, mestizo. That was Villa. Zapata was in the south, you know, and he was 100% native, okay? They didn't get along, you know, because the purebreds in Mexico do not like the mixed breeds in Mexico.
And we all, Mexican Americans, we know that for a fact.
You know,
And I'm not sure where that comes from. Is that a jealousy thing of our own people that we are intimidated? That we,
man,
or what is it? Because
I don't know.
it's like a stereotype, basically, right?
Yeah, but you know, I mean, it's like whites here, man. They don't like us.
No, they do not.
No,
They hate us,
because they think,
especially the
they're-
cops.
because they think that they're like, you
They're
know,
above us.
they're purebred.
They're the pure. They're the ultimate race, like
Yeah.
Hitler.
Yeah, they're the ultimate race, just
That's
like
right.
in Mexico, man. They, you know, we, you know,
That's why when Martin Luther King came, he knew he couldn't do God's work without white people. And white people joined him. And now look, now we have civil rights.
back in the 70s, man, I was involved in 3 riots, race riots.
Where at?
Houston?
Can you tell me a little bit about what happened? What did you witness?
Well, man, whites wanted to kick us out of the fucking park, man. You know,
For what?
huh?
For what?
Because we're brown.
Wow. So the racism was very strong.
Oh, in Texas, yeah. You know, and I freak out here because, you know, you got, but you got blacks and whites and all kinds of people just interracing, and you got young Chicanos talking like they're black and all kinds of stuff.
It's a new era.
You know,
They-
I grew up over there, man. I mean,
The new era has forgot their roots.
I'm not racist, but I am a bit prejudiced, if that makes any sense. You know, I mean, I grew up in that time, man. I grew up when, you know, when,
Like me, I'm unbiased, but I have to call it like I see it. And there's racism and prejudice everywhere. And, you know, there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems. And if we all just loved each other and got rid of the hate, want to say anything before we wrap this up? What was your name again? Joseph. Well, thank you for telling your story, Joseph. Call me.
I'm gonna die.
Hey, if you live today, you live for God. If you die tomorrow, you die for God.